One morning, Dotty was busy with the vacuum cleaner.
It's time this bin had a really good clean,
she puffed. The others had collected all their rubbish in a sack and were taking it to the town dump. When they got there, the Raggy Dolls were amazed to see how many things people threw away.
Look,
said Back to Front.
do you see what I see?
He pointed to a pile of old junk. 2 legs were sticking out at the top. They belonged to a doll. Someone had knitted her a long time ago out of knobbly white wool. She had hardly any hair left and only one eye, which was a chipped boot button.
Hello, doll,
said Back to Front kindly. But the doll didn't answer. She just lay on her back, staring up at the sky with her boot button eye. She didn't seem to be seeing anything at all.
Raggy Dolls to the rescue,
Crackled Hi-Fi.
Let's take her home.
What a splendid idea,
agreed Princess.
I hope Dotty thinks so,
thought Sad Sack, eyeing the doll's grubby dress. Back to Front, Hi-Fi and Sad Sack carried her between them. Claude said he'd better keep his hands clean for cooking. The doll looked as if she could do with a square meal.
Tell us about yourself,
said Dotty.
I belonged to a girl once,
she said at last, when she was warm and comfortable in the reject bin.
I had long fair hair and dozens of different dresses.
How did you get on that rubbish tip?
Asked Lucy, who was always afraid something like that might happen to her.
I've forgotten,
said the doll.
I forget everything nasty and only remember the nice things.
Back to Front stared at the doll. He was thinking.
There's lots of bits and pieces in Mr. Grimes' workshop. I don't suppose it would be all that difficult to put her right. Would you like to be mended?
He asked presently. Princess found some canvas and glue, and soon she was making a curly red wig. The knitted doll watched, but she couldn't see very well.
Boot button highs are always coming adrift,
said Princess kindly.
Children pull them off and lose them. She can't have painted eyes, though, can she?
said Lucy.
Being made of knitting, I mean.
What about embroidered eyes?
Suggested Hi-Fi. We have here some blue silk, said Claude, rummaging in a basket. C'est perfect, no? Back to Front was eyeing her rags. How about a new dress? He suggested.
Oh, a new dress would be very nice,
said the doll.
Could it be made of knitting, do you think?
Knitting it is, said Back to Front. No problem. Princess found a pair of knitting needles, and Claude chose some blue wool. To match those beautiful eyes, he said with a wink. The needles were so long that everyone had to help. In no time, the rows of stitching grew into a dress. It fitted perfectly.
How kind you all are,
sighed the doll.
I wish I had a name.
No problem. We'll think of one in a jiffy, said Back to Front. But it proved difficult finding the right name.
How about going away by ourselves to think?
Suggested Hi-Fi.
I always get my best ideas when I'm on my own.
That's the way inspiration comes,
agreed Princess. Lucy skipped and made up a rhyme.
Sarah, Mary, Rosie, Jane, Daphne, Nancy, Lily, Marlene. Sarah, Mary, Rosie, Jane, Daphne...
Claude thought of beautiful French names like François and Dominique. Hi-Fi listened to people sending messages to each other all over the world.
Hi, Sadie. Buongiorno, Rosa. Is that you, Carlotta? No. This is Titania Borkowski speaking. Goodbye for me.
But none of those names would do. Princess thought of royal names like Elizabeth and Han and Alexandra. Back to Front sat in Mr. Grimes' garden and thought of girls' names that sounded like flowers. Poppy and Marigold, Daisy and May. Dotty looked through the address book in Mr. Grimes' office. It had the names of clients like Mrs. Ermintrude Arbuthnot and Angelica Hubble. Far too grand for a knitted doll, thought Dotty. Sadsack thought and scratched his head and frowned and shut his eyes. But he couldn't think of any names except Dotty and Lucy and Princess.
Time's up!
Called Dotty. The Raggy Dolls went back to the reject bin to compare notes. But when they looked inside, their friend wasn't there anymore. She had vanished. Where can she have gone? Said Dotty. I can't understand it, said Back to Front. I thought she liked being with us.
Perhaps she's been kidnapped,
whispered Lucy.
I'm being kidnapped,
thought the knitted doll. Someone had wrapped her up and was putting her in a box tied with a pink ribbon.
I don't know why I'm being put in this dark box,
thought the knitted doll.
It's one of those nasty things I shall have to forget.
The Raggy Dolls felt sad for the rest of the morning. At lunchtime, Hi-Fi listened to local radio.
Why not come on down to the spring fair? Bring the family fun for all. This afternoon on the big field.
The newsreader said this year's spring fair is being held in the big field,
he reported.
This very afternoon.
Who cares? Said Sadsack.
I don't think I'll go,
said Back to Front.
I won't either,
said Princess. Lucy and Claude agreed. They were all worrying about their lost friend. What could have happened to her?
Oh, come on, said Dotty. Going to the fair might buck us all up.
I doubt it, said Sadsack. But Dotty won. After lunch, they all set off for the big field. There were people everywhere. A brass band was playing and a huge old traction engine was giving rides to children.
Ooh, I fancy a go on that,
said Lucy.
So do I,
crackled Hi-Fi. They watched the traction engine go round and round the field. At 3 o'clock, there was going to be a raffle. Mr. Grimes was in charge. Number 452.
Look,
said Lucy.
There's a girl over there waving her ticket in the air. Do you think she's got the winning number?
Very likely, said Dotty. Well spotted. Mr. Grimes gave the girl a box tied with a pink ribbon, which she opened immediately. Well, I never, exclaimed Back to Front. Goodness! Oh! Look! Cried all the Raggy Dolls. Because when the girl lifted out her prize, the Raggy Dolls could see that it was their lost friend, the knitted doll. You'll have to give her a name now, said Mr. Grimes, patting the girl's head.
I'm going to call her Jack Beebe,
said the girl. Jack Beebe? That's my name, cried the driver of the traction engine.
That's right.
Said the girl.
I'm going to call her Jack Beebe after you.
Then she climbed up beside him, and they started off on a victory drive around the big field.